We are back here at Deadlock Fight Night number 25. 25 shows already, can you believe it? EU gave us the first taste of what to expect on this brand new patch, but now we move on to North America, which, has always been a little bit different from EU, but maybe wildly different. Now we've entered a completely new meta. ZP here with Jake, and Jake, I am still super excited to see what the players have cooking here today.
Look, EU has always been the clean region, the super well-practiced, high strategy region. NA, we get down and dirty with it. We brawl it out. We deathmatch. Everybody just buy the Fury items, stim out, no abilities, baby. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. We got to get into the action, CP.
Yeah, and if you're just new to the show, going, hey, this is a pretty good place to learn about, what is meta, what's going on with the items, the players. Well, we got you covered, and also we'll tell you how the day goes about here at Deadlock Fight Night. We open up each region with a best of one challengers match. We invite some of the best teams around in each region, and then the winner of that challengers match goes on to play the champion. Of course, now we're in the North America portion of the show. The champion for the last few weeks, Jake, it's been Melee Creeps enjoying their time on top of the mountain.
Yeah, Melee Creeps, bringing together a solid roster, building consistency, and they've only been climbing. I mean, I will say this is a moment where their dominance is going to be tested with everything thrown into flux with a new patch. Things have changed drastically. And so, I don't know if I'd go so far as to call it an upset. Regardless, Hydra Nation or Valhalla, whoever advances, there's a lot of strong players that, fans are going to recognize. However, this is a moment where it's hardest to stay on top when things are completely changing, things are shifting, and you're going to have to follow along and not get caught by any, meta builds. But that being said, after seeing the EU show, you've seen maybe a little bit of a test case. There's some more refined ideas. I wonder, once we get into the draft phase, if some of these picks like Shiv and like Wraith that have emerged as having some really potent builds in the new item meta are going to end up being picked as popularly here in North America.
Well, also, in terms of what's popular here in North America, we got some DFN traditions. We're going to take a look at the Hydra Nation roster now to get you in on one of the traditions we've had here at Deadlock Fight Night, where Hydra Nation, they've been in here since the beginning. But let me tell you, the roster has changed continually over these 25 Deadlock Fight Night weeks. The only consistent player, Jake, on this entire roster that has never been off the team at one point at this point is Hydration.
The team's like sort of named after him, right? So maybe that gives him a little bit of plot armor. It would go crazy if Hydration gets cut at some point and they keep the name. At the end of the day, though, as this team has rotated with a lot of different players, a lot of these guys are familiar faces like Hydration, Lefa, Vegas, Rocane. These guys have been on many iterations of the team, taking time off, of course, as you mentioned, but still, Poppers and Fishcake also have been impressive players. Have looked solid when we have seen them play. So this looks like another solid version of Hydra Nation. As much as we make fun of them for swapping their roster all the time, sometimes they come out with a fresh roster and dominate and take over in a week. So in an attempt to dethrone Melee Creeps, they've done just that. We're going to see, though, if they're able to get there and even get to that money match. First, they got to take down Valhalla.
Also, I'm going to defy the run of show here a little bit. I'm going to bring Jason in early. That's right. We're not playing by the rules. Jason, thoughts on Hydra Nation changing rosters once again?
There's three things in life that are certain: death, money, death, taxes, and Hydra Nation changing rosters.
I wish money was one of those certain things.
This is why he's not a play-by-play guy.
Maybe I'll start my own fan fiction line at some point. I'm doing audiobooks. I don't know how I feel about this roster, actually. Obviously, Lefa, Hydration, very strong, dependable players. Poppers, I've definitely been critical on quite a bit when we saw him back in B&B. Seeing him on his Yamato, it felt like that was the only hero he could really play, was that or Great Talon. And when that was being banned away from him, he wasn't really able to play well enough on other heroes. So I don't know how this roster is going to do within the only 1 week, 1.5 weeks since we've had these changes. But one thing I do know about Hydra Nation is that they have been grinding a lot more than a lot of the other teams out there when it comes to North America. And I feel like if any team out there has found something niche and something special that no one's caught on to yet, it's definitely going to be them.
Well, of course, the opposition is going to be Valhalla, a new mix here in North America. I guess see some familiar names here where, you take a look at, you got Scout on the team. Normally, you also have Dew on the team, where I think it's Flaws from Troopers in Paris that is swapping on in, where, these players have been around. I think, at least half of them, I think at one point had a stint on TF2 Boomers, at least think back to some of the other players that are on this roster. But, things are in flux in North America, Jake. And, this early in the game, we don't have a ton of sponsored orgs in. This is kind of part of the course to see these team shifts pretty on a regular basis.
Yeah, I mean, still a lot of like players who I think are individually going to be strong. DMB coming into a good team here at a perfect moment for him, you know, being a Wraith specialist, playing that hero so much over the last few months. And I mean, since Deadlock came out, was really dominant on it. I felt like when Wraith fell out of the meta, DMB also kind of felt like it didn't have such an obvious place. But now with like what Zergy just paved the way in EU, I feel like love to see DMB if he gets his hand on the Wraith, what he can do here in this opening match.
And you know, it was something also to keep in mind here. I'm seeing chat talk about it
here or not. Sorry.
You know, I was waiting for Jason to like kick in. But I will say one thing. In response to Chaz, like, "Where's Calc? Where's Calc?" Calc was not kicked from Hydra Nation, to the best of my knowledge. Calc right now, I guess, has had like a big flare-up of tendonitis, and I think it's fair to note, like, look, it's difficult to play games when, you know, an arm just doesn't work, right? So Calc right now is healing, and as far as I know, Calc will probably be back to the game at some point, whether it be on Hydra Nation or not, who knows? But you know, injuries happen.
It's tendonitis in his wrist, right?
No.
Well,
I think it's actually a common gaming injury, right? Like various forms of repetitive strain injury. I think it's just take care of your health first, right? Like games are fun, but you don't want to screw up your wrist for your life.
But there's one way to get around that, though. Go the way of Zergy. Play with the trackball, and you don't
fingers
have to use
only.
your wrist. There you go. We could see him come back. Also surprised to see Flick not on the roster. I feel like Flick was such a stable player, like high damage dealer when it came to Paradox. He was like the NA TAS equivalent in terms of how much damage you consistently do on Paradox, being such a good playmaker. But to see him not there as well, it's like, who's going to pick up the Paradox flame for the team?
Yeah, and I mean, that obviously when you've had a very reliable Paradox player or a player that can shift on the holiday for that long, I mean, it changes a little bit of how you're gonna, well, maybe not the draft in the sense you still have to like draft these heroes, but you know, the effectiveness is gonna be in question till we see the players play. But we are gonna get see the players play right now. That's right, the Mo and Krill 1v1, it is in action. Mo versus Mo fisticuffs. We'll see if NA holds up to the standard that EU has had on their 1v1s.
They both went for the off the rip parry meta. Now big connection. Oh, the double parry, that just ends it.
Ooh.
I mean, a previous Hydra Nation player, albeit for 1 week, Lord and M.
You know what we need? I'm just thinking about it. We got a whole bunch of new melee items added to the game. Maybe next DFN, we spice it up and we let the Moes come in with rebuttal and crushing fists and give them a little bit of extra HP.
Rebuttal would go so... I feel like rebuttal, you just like auto win if you get a rebuttal parry, right? Because it's such a ridiculous turn.
It is a really ridiculous turn, and you get to parry more often. But
yeah,
either way, guys,
he's so crazy.
We are heading into the draft. We'll think about how to spice up the Mo versus Mo setup a little bit later. But it's Valhalla, first pick, their choice after winning the 1v1, and they take down Mo. So we didn't see Mo at all in EU, and Jason, Mo's just out of here from the get-go.
Yeah, we saw Abrams being first banned almost, and I think in every single game actually that we had happen in EU. But this time we're going to see Mo as a first ban. But I'm curious, you leave open like Shiv, you leave open Kelvin. I think Kelvin might become like a very staple hero in North America. I mean, thinking with Lord and M, thinking about for Hydra Nation, if they're going to run Fish Cake on or Xerxes on it. Sorry, Xerxes on Valhalla, or Poppers on it. Like, I don't know exactly what they're going to be going for, but our question of how would NA be compared to EU? Well, completely different. And
yeah,
I didn't
180.
expect less, to be honest.
I mean, I'm curious to see if we see Abrams coming in. I think Abrams, Wraith are my first thoughts. I mean, compared to like previous weeks, there's heroes like Mirage, Great Talon that completely fell out of the meta in EU that were so incredibly popular. And Valhalla is going to snag the DMB Wraith off the rip. I actually like this for them. I think that player hero combination is something I really would want to see for them. And I think it is a first pick pro hero. From what we saw in EU, that I'm convinced from Zergy's build, that looks disgusting. That looks like one of the strongest late game things you could just build. The DPS, the objective taking, just absurd.
Yo, it is 2025 and North America first picked Wraith in a Deadlock draft. We finally did it. We got him. All it took was Wraith going back up to the top of the meta, and NA is respecting Wraith first. I love to see it. Meanwhile, Hydra Nation going with the first pick on the Kelvin, where you know, things are more survival now. People generally, from what I've heard, are valuing Kelvin a little bit more as a result. Not even though Kelvin was getting first picked a little bit pre-patched too, depending on the
draft. You could get a Shiv here too. You get the Shiv Kelvin opening combo. I think they're both insanely strong.
I think they will. And yeah, Jake, you're absolutely right. And look, teams right now, they value the percentage execute that you get with Shiv. And you know, Jason, right now, this is more similar to EU on the actual picks, even if the bans were different.
Yeah, very weird. Very weird to see it so close to EU, considering it feels like in 25 weeks of this, we've never have it be so close. But I mean, I'm looking at Valhalla's side. Abrams would be obviously a perfect pickup here. Maybe Abrams Vindictus, so you have yourself an S tier lineup. But then also with Paradox, Holiday, and Bebop all still available, does Valhalla want to pull the Abrahams and take away the pick heroes and get Paradox as well?
I think it's definitely an interesting idea here, especially with Wraith. It's like you have really solid ult follow-up if you do swap or lasso somebody in. And of course, Wraith has all the damage as well you might need. There's also the thought about trying to match the front line a little bit with something like Abrams, but maybe Abrams, I wonder, can you stand up to a Shiv Kelvin? And they're going to go with Yamato as another sort of option for that.
I don't like
heavy front line.
I think the problem with going Yamato here is that it's still brand new, so it's hard to say how much you can really set in stone. But in terms of what you've given up here, you just gave up the Paradox Geist, which to me, you think about what has been overwhelmingly strong. That would be just an incredible clapback here from Hydra Nation. And Jason, we got the Geist. Do we get the Paradox?
Well, does Valhalla ban Paradox instead?
Oh, that's right. You go in the mid band. So yeah. Going in the mid bands, I think you're right. They probably ban it.
I mean, it could. I think Abrams would obviously be a good ban away as well, because we're still. I mean, Valhalla is still lacking like a decent front line. Obviously, Yamato gives you somewhat of a front line, but an Abrams would give you a nice little pick off as well to have, again, give protection to Wraith.
I'll see you in the field.
Dynamo actually instead. So,
I actually like this. I actually like this Hydra Nation. I think Hydra Nation are going to pick Abrams off the rip if it's not banned, and then I guess they could grab Paradox too, but they actually have such a ridiculous close range brawling front line with Shiv, Geist, and potentially Abrams. Like, this is disgusting, but however, a Dynamo would kind of ruin them, right? Like, these are all heroes that want to be point blank, not so much Geist, but in general, right? So you still want to play off the lifesteal, and you do want to be, running at people pretty aggressive, pretty close range. They're not going to have any stuns in the draft.
Wait, we got to get clarification from production here, because
something's wrong.
Pocket did not get banned twice. This does not make sense. I mean, look, I get you don't want to play against Pocket, but that's a little weird.
So we will wait. This is Abrams then.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense if Abrams was one of the first bans here. Oh, it was a Paradox ban as the second ban. Okay. But I actually don't think Hydra Nation. I think if Hydra Nation, if I'm right, they're going to go with Abrams. Yeah, okay. And now the front line is, I mean, this. How do you fight into this? Like, if these heroes get farmed, Kelvin is going to be healing 3 players that are like inting on you. The Kelvin value on heal in this game is going to be out of control. You get healing tempo on Kelvin, and you're buffing all these characters that all want a frontline, all want an aggro. Yamato can stand up to that just because of the ulti, but can you stand up to just the raw gun damage, even on Yamato, even tanking? Like,
yeah, honestly, Jason called it. You mentioned the Warden. I think the answer may be yes, but also you have way more initiation power on Valhalla, and the fact is, like, telekinesis is still really good now that Wraith actually has way more damage behind her. So I'm looking at this right now, and this feels like one of those comps where, like, Hydra Nation, their win con, they want to get significantly ahead and then just run at you. But Valhalla, if they play well, especially playing around the Holiday, playing around the Wraith, I mean, if they stay ahead, I don't think Hydra Nation can just run over them, so to speak. So to me, this is giving Hydra Nation a little bit of hard mode, so far as I'm concerned, in the early mid game, even though they still have a Kelvin Shiv lane, which I think will still perform pretty well post patch.
I mean, I think
go ahead,
all I have
Jason.
to worry about is Sinclair pick. But at the same time, an Ivy would be like a really nice roundup to their composition, because they can use the slow with lightning swirl as well to like really make it difficult for Hydra Nation to fight in the front lines, make them very slow, really hard to move around the fight, but also do a lot of damage. Well, if you pick up a heal bait on top of that, you're going to be nerfing a lot of their healing they can do. I don't really hate either team's comp, to be honest, with the way it's playing out.
I would love to see the Sinclair as the final pick here. I think that's a great call out. Like, copying Warden ult is so powerful in this game, and you could copy the Wraith ult too as a way to deal with Wraith herself with the disarm. Right? They go with the Lash though. I guess that makes sense. Maybe they were lacking a bit of initiate. I mean, maybe the Abrams once it gets Phantom Strike can be that, but that is pretty deep into the game when you're actually going to be able to deploy that. I think this is a very sick frontline comp from Hydra Nation. I think I'm curious to see how Mirage does as like this backline DPS, but if Abrams, Shiv, and Geist are having good games, like, man, the potency of the Kelvin heal into these team fights is going to be so sick. Valhalla, if they get caught like 1-2 players in the dome, I think they're going to lose the team fight. I think it's like maybe Yamato can tank through in the dome. That's going to be like a key bellwether. If Yamato is strong enough to like confidently fight into the dome and live with the ulti and be able to get bailed out by the team after, maybe this is going to be key. And like you guys mentioned, the pick off threat from Holiday could be nice as well. But I really like what I see out of Hydra Nation. I think this draft is like a very old school, something we would have seen like a couple months ago. But I think that style looks really good to me in from what I've seen so far in the patch.
Well, the X factor to me is, I look at this as just Hydra Nation. They're probably putting Fish Cake onto the Lash, right? You think about who has the most play time onto what for Hydra Nation, and also Flick is on the roster. You wonder who's going to be playing what. Fish Cake, 8 million hours on Lash. But if Lash doesn't get value, their initiation is going to be really tough, Jason. And I feel like for me, I look at Hydra Nation, I just wonder, what is the ramp right now? And I just feel like they're putting a lot in the Fish Cake, having a really good game.
I mean, it's that, but they also put a lot of it onto Shiv, which I think Rokane is kind of my guess of who he's going to be playing. But they don't have like a late game carry in my eyes. Like Wraith doesn't even need to get to late game to be that carry potential as we saw with Zergy. If you can't lock down DMB on the Wraith, like he's going to become a massive problem. With Mercurial Magnum picked up, and if he goes Boundless Spirit too, if he goes like these movement abilities, if he goes for the lifesteal as well, he gets at some point, like it's gonna be very hard to kill him. Not to mention you have to get through the front line of Yamato Ward and Calco at the same time. You have Ivy protecting with the Kutsu bombs. Like, I don't know, I feel like Hydra Nation, if you can't get going early, I think this actually could be a Valhalla win.
I do agree with you. I think we go late enough, Valhalla will outscale, but I like the odds of like a mid-game snowball. I think if Hydra Nation have clean macro in the mid-game, they can win lanes, clean macro in the mid-game, and then they can just get such a lead that I think it won't matter, essentially. Like the late game threat from Valhalla won't come to fruition. But this does put pressure on a Hydra Nation roster that is freshly shuffled. You talked about ZP, them being like a team that's bested a lot, has been like really grinding and putting the effort in. I think this is going to be the test of that. They need a clean game.
Hydration on Abrams. This is a new look. Also, chat, calm yourself. Chat just going wild with the copy pasta of every week I watch EU Draft, I learn more about the game. And then I watch NA Draft, I learned they should watch EU Draft. Oh, boy.
I don't hate these maps, actually. These are different, but they're not actually, after we've seen them all come together, they're not that different. I am curious to see Lefa's Mirage. He's looked insane in this character in the past, but EU, they were like not even touching Mirage, which is surprising to me. Like, I don't see why, from like a pure theory perspective, why the global teleport wouldn't be still amazingly good. The late game farm potential from Mirage still very strong.
All right, we'll see this one pans out, and yeah, Lefa's gonna be on the Mirage. Rokane onto the Geist is where we're at. Which, if you go far enough back, there was a period of time where Rokane was basically on Geist just about every game. But to me, as I look at this, I'm really curious about how Valhalla plays the early and the mid game, because to me, Jake, I'm looking at this game and I feel like Valhalla really does have a significant early the mid game window, but so much is going to depend on what Lord NM is able to do, in that crucial period after you hit 3K souls.
Yeah, I will say, I think laning wise, I think there's better lasting pretty significantly for Hydra Nation. I think like Shiv Abrams should be one of the best last hitting lanes you can do, like the double shotgun, and both of them are heroes with serious kill threat, so you got to be very careful in that mid lane. Not expecting to see either team, though, come up to a huge lead in the early game. These teams are both very experienced, mostly going to be playing that farm game, trying to trade, trying to get what they can. I'm also curious to see how Shiv and Kelvin function, right? Like as a lane, this has been not just a CS lane, it's been a kill lane in many games in the past, and I think that's somewhere Hydra Nation want to start cracking the armor of Valhalla in the early game.
To me, it's kind of a good test, too, of where Wraith is at the moment, where Wraith probably the biggest benefit of this patch here so far. And, sometimes you go for the melee and a little bit off. Either that or thought wouldn't hit in time and there was a parry on the table. One of the two.
Yeah, I think it was one of those weird pins where he got pinned like just on the corner of the geometry and punched around it.
But yeah, I mean, if the Wraith Ivy lane is able to stand their own versus Shiv Kelvin lane, I feel like that pumps up the Wraith stocks even more as far as where Wraith is at in this patch, where it's already, to me, kind of been the storyline of the day of, oh, yeah, this hero got mega buffed overall from one patch to the next.
Abrams is also going to be just a god in lane with the extra regen, 3.5 regen on top of the passive. It's going to be so hard to spam him out of lane. Some early damage here as well. In trouble, yeah. I think this is a kill. Tornado, maybe just one more shot. Yeah, that'll be a kill found. Able to continue some pressure as well in the mid lane. Love the Hydration back to their winning ways here, so far at least. DMB as well, going to be going down. And quick kills, I don't think these are the most impactful, but they definitely presage a worrying trend here for Valhalla in the early game.
I do kind of enjoy how, regardless of what's being played, Hydra Nation does try to just maintain just general lane partners, because you play enough with one player, Jake, eventually you kind of get an idea of when someone's going to go in and when not, even without comms. You get to know someone's play style, and Hydration Leffa, they just have chemistry in lane, regardless of if they're in a slightly favored lane or not.
It's an interesting concept here from Valhalla to be having Ivy on the Xerxes be like super focused on the healing and just like, yeah, you can soak a million damage from Kelvin and Shiv, but we're just going to heal you up and sustain through it all. Not let anybody get low, not let, you know, the snowball start rolling. I think this Calico Warden lane, though, it looks to be a bit of a struggle. Honestly, both of the side lanes are not good. Even mid lane, I mean, there's small advantages, but Hydra Nation is winning all 3 lanes right now.
I do kind of wonder, you know, we didn't see Yamato on the EU end, and I kind of wonder where Yamato stands after all the patch changes, where we didn't go into a deep dive and trying to, you know, get player impact on. Also, there hasn't been as much in the way of scrims, but Yamato was the big winner of the patch prior to this, and, you know, her performance is going to be interesting. Also, yeah, what you point out, the Warden Calco lane, it's struggling a bit. You wouldn't really expect it to be
they're going to die
strong, but they're kind of getting farmed at the moment.
Yeah, they're getting crushed across the map. Like this game is actually like, this is like an insanely early call, but this game is unironically almost over. Like if they get like another few kills, I mean, it's really scary, because the problem is, you know, all these Hydra Nation players, I guess there's a moment here where you come back into the lane and get your ultis online for Valhalla where they can get some kills, but Hydra Nation is coming up to have every ult online. Just now Valhalla gets a few ults, so maybe they can take some of the fights with that power spike. Maybe that does stabilize things for the moment, and that kill does help a lot on the Road King.
Well, also I think that with how the economy has been adjusted, I do think there's more room for comebacks now, even with a tough start. So, yeah, I mean, it looks a little bit tough, but I think Valhalla, especially in a moment here, you're going to get Lasso online for Lord NM. We'll see, you know, if it stays in the middle for picks or it tries to go off to the side. Well, not get too many picks in the middle with Scout being down here, even as Lasso is still yet to be grabbed here. Take a look. Has not statted into it here just yet.
Yeah, I don't think he has it. He's 3.2.
Yeah,
I think you don't get it till 3.4.
Oh, that's
right. Because you start with the 400 souls now. So, I mean, it's actually a brutal game to not have ulti online yet. And Hydration's coming up on 5K. I'm really curious to see what Hydration buys. Is he going to save for a 6K? Or not 6K, rather, a 3K. It's going to be the Headhunter upgrade. Oh, that's actually massive at this phase of the game, right? Getting the huge nuke damage on Headhunter. I mean, Abrams is a huge threat now and is going to get tons of sustain as well. So he might get active and look into some ganking potential here, doing some box running in the early game. This is something I think we came to know Hydration for, and like honestly, I think a lot of players like really changed their game a lot, realizing like how much he gets out of this box running in the mid game. And if he can get a successful gank here on the sideline, that would be explosive for his game.
Hydration a little bit forge pirating into a hello to Flaws with a quick goodbye. One after the other, some quick left clicks on the DMP. Gets hit with the lasso towards the end, and okay.
Oh, did he parry him as well?
Oh, wait, he heals. He got the heals and got the kill with the aid of Fish Cake. Oh boy, that is a big swing in the game. And then
that's a big mistake from Lord NM. Like at that point, Hydration's always going to go for the parry. He's 1 HP under tower. He has to just parry, right? Coming off the lasso, and to try to finish with the quick melee, a little bit greedy. That is so bad for them. That would have been bad even if you catch Hydration, but the fact that you don't is terrible. Now another dive here comes under the tower. Wraith incredibly low, caught by the execute. Shiv still healthy behind tower, diving with the Kelvin. And they still have the Kelvin ulti if things go wrong. Lash ult as well, finds a big connection on the side lane.
Yeah, really opening things up here on left, although okay, ends up falling down. So able to withstand a little bit. 38k or 31k is pretty significant. Still not even the 8-minute mark of the game here just yet. I'm not gonna say, you know, in this case, I still think there's room to bring things back, but it's a little bit difficult to be getting crushed in lane to this extent, because what's gonna happen here, the Guardians have already kind of set the stage of the game. We're being down 2 Guardians, already being down a flex slot. It starts snowballing out of control, especially when you start losing your jungle because of the lane control that you just don't have on the map. I mean, take a look at the mini-map right now, Jake. Look at where Hydration is, able to freely go to the back line, might be coming in for the gank, and even if he doesn't, he's gonna grab some jungle.
Yeah, has an ulti as well. Coming in for this round right now is massive. Here he goes, looks like connecting on the back line. They continue to push these lane creeps in. Valhalla's going to bring heavy numbers this engagement, though. They want to shut down Hydration. They want to stop his reign of terror. He's still pretty healthy, and yeah, Kelvin's just grinding down the objective, getting the job done. There's a mid lane push coming in here right now from Scout, but it looks like it's being responded to by Fishcake. And Yamato, yeah, can't even really put damage on that Guardian. There's not really been any meaningful Guardian damage. And yes, there's that comeback mechanic. And so I do think Hydra Nation, this is a moment where they need to be clean. Like, to be overconfident here and to force deep dives on walkers is, I think, kind of like the way you lose the game for Hydra Nation right now. I think if they just lock in, clean the camps, take a lot of these like mid objectives, such as like the Gambas on the enemy side of the map, that's going to be for them the way to stabilize. And honestly, for Valhalla, they need to start ganking. They need to start finding kills.
One thing that's not bad, though, for Valhalla, in terms of the economy allocation, Scout has done a really nice job of staying in the game here so far. Not a Yamato that's ahead that could just run at people, but still a Yamato that, for all the danger in middle, oh boy, the invade.
I don't
Return
think
the
he can get
shadow.
out.
I don't know if
It's
there's not a shadow dark enough that's going to save you from this invade, DFN.
Yeah, not only that, and then they grab the bag off of him, so they're going to be able to grab all of the profit of those Gambas. And worse, it goes to Hydration, who's having one of the best games here on his squad. Leffa as well, doing fantastically, and everyone is split farming the map right now. Like, you look at the mini map right now, Hydra Nation, they're not over grouped, they're not forcing any kind of objective like I talked about. Shiv, though, is being collapsed on right now.
And Shiv, a little bit of danger here on the left-hand side. Telekinesis being used here by Wraith at the opening. Got the teleport in from Leffa. We'll see if that's going to be enough to solidify things here on the left. Valhalla still looking to commit. Leffa takes down Lord NM. And the teleport in from Leffa, enough to at least turn it into a little bit of a trade, even as we see Poppers going down.
It's a good trade for Valhalla in terms of the 1-for-1 being behind. However, it's expensive. They had to bring a ton of players that fight just to get the 1-for-1. And map control-wise, it doesn't really accomplish anything, and they're not able to turn it into an objective. So Leffa just teleporting in, backing up the team. Now it's Rokane's turn to be the one out on the side lane, but meanwhile, Hydration just grabs another kill in mid. I mean, he's kind of a one-man wrecking crew, 7 kill streak on Abrams right now. Another 3K item coming in. Big threats here.
The interesting thing with Hydration, too, is that this has mostly been income from kills. He has not really gone as much in terms of lane income. It has been, funneling that more to other characters on the team, not really been too much in terms of jungle income. So, and that's actually worth noting, too. You go, oh, he has all these kills. Why isn't he ahead? It's like, well, it's not just about where Hydration's at. It's also the level of farm that he's not consuming and still maintaining the level of power that he's at.
The urn has been drawn.
Yeah, I mean, he's just going to be that frontline bruiser. But I feel like Abrams, while you don't really have any way to farm super efficiently, if you do get way ahead of the game, I think it's like one of the most egregious late game carries, because you're just like that far ahead of the game, and attempting to burst you is so risky with the nature of the passive, right? Like, you fail that burst, and then there's also somebody like Kelvin who can almost always save Abrams. Then he's going to be just healing so much from the passive. Already has 2k HP. That's a ridiculous amount. Like, to do 2k damage at this phase in the game is really difficult.
Well, and also Hydration is, very survivable, where, we even bring it up, but as Jason was bringing it item-wise, that he also went super quick life strike. So
he just parried the lasso.
It's huge.
Parried the lasso with the spell block from
that was
Leffa.
a huge counter spell play, and oh boy, it looked at us like, wait, that hit, right? It's like, no.
I'm so surprised he had the item so early. I think he just realized that on this Mirage, being such a natural backline damage dealer, that the real threat, like, he is going to be the one you want to target with lasso, given that, like, Poppers, Rokane, Hydration are all on really tanky heroes that have a good chance to survive even if they do get lassoed. Leffa pryos that item early, and it really pays off, turning that kill around into 2 kills for his own team.
Also, at this point, this has been kind of an atrocious game as far as soul economy goes for Lord NM, where if you're this far behind on Holiday, you are only good for your rope skills at this point. Like, once you drop the lasso, hopefully it's gotten someone killed, because you yourself, you're not really contributing anything to the fight, where the average median souls for the other team is 13k, and you're slumming it at 7k. It is full-on support Holiday for Lord NM right now, without extra farm being grabbed.
Yeah, and likewise on Hydra Nation side, everyone who needs farm is having it right now. The only people who are a little bit further behind are Vegas on the Kelvin and Fishcake on the Lash. I mean, Fishcake barely. But those are the heroes that do not care, right? They're like, Lash really is... If you can deal damage on Lash, that's great this game, but really, I think it's all about the ulti, all about scouting and mobility, and he's going to have enough items for that when it comes to the raw damage dealing threat. that's where, you know, you're seeing the map, just that mid line of heroes on the map is just a little bit favoring as Hydration sneaks up. If he could see there's a big bag potentially on the raid, and that's a kill, should be.
Ridiculous. The stealth Abrams still finds his way over. And again, the melees keep coming in. Okay, did you want him this close to you? Do you want Hydration that close? And the answer is he doesn't want to deal with the walker, even regardless, but just able to seismic slam off. And again, if you chase Abrams here, you probably die. That is where Hydration is at.
Room. Good luck, right?
Yeah.
We also have Fishcake here close to that next ulti. Calvin's pushing mid, Geist on the right side. I mean, the whole map is pressured so aggressive right here. Valhalla low on a couple players. They need to make some of these defenses, not just defenses, they need to win team fights like from an overcommitment from Hydra Nation, but Hydra Nation aren't giving them that. Like, that was a moment where I think a less disciplined team would have tried to grab a walker, maybe pressure a couple walkers at once. That'd be an opportunity for Valhalla to come around and turn around a team fight, bring their whole team and overwhelm, you know, 2 to 3 players wherever they are on the map. The Hydra Nation make the disciplined call. They back off.
I'm going to make a call. We're looking at Kelvin right now, 4,800 souls. How much you want to make a bet next time? Tempo. Heal tempo. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that next time probably heal tempo for Vegas. And then you think about objective damage. In terms of pumping your damage versus walkers, healing tempo on a Kelvin is one of the biggest team DPS increases that we've ever had in the game. So if you're thinking about like timing and power spikes here, realistically, once you're Vegas and you get healing tempo, if you're Hydra Nation, that's where you start making bigger team fights and forcing the issue, because it's just such an incredible power spike on the course of the game.
Coming here from League, trying to pressure down Lefa, but there's a full HP Guardian here. Are you really going to fight under this? He's going to be backing off for the moment. Doesn't have that Magnum yet. Teleporting away. He lost the teleport too. It got canceled. He's going to ult, just trying to keep Hydration off him, but Hydration does not care. Continuing to charge in, gonna grab the bag. And this is just everything is going the way of Hydra Nation. They're constantly bringing resources to one another, not overcommitting to any key position on the map, but at the same time, they're just pressuring, keeping Valhalla off of some of these camps just past the mid lane.
Meanwhile, got Warden trying to go on in, and Frozen Shelter gonna keep Vegas nice and healthy here so far. Did not go for the healing tempo, by the way. Instead, Rescue Beam. Fishcake, though, able to punish flaws for the attempt. Hydra Nation all grouping up here on the right-hand side. And I look here, Death Slam, you gotta think, is what Fishcake's gonna be looking for. Up, over, Death
big.
Slam, 2 locked in, drops him on down, over and in. And Ivy able to stone form off some of the worst of it, may be able to get away, not able to save the other. As Hydra Nation continues to pile on here in the right lane, Walker should be theirs.
Dream ulti from Fishcake, everyone dead, Walker's going down, and Hydration as well on the left side of the map, sending another wave to crash on Walker in the meantime. Only positive lane situation is here in the mid, but it's not really a game changer. It's just, okay, we're shoving a mid wave in, Kelvin's gonna get that death. Macro is immaculate right now from Hydra Nation. They probably do need to back off. Shiv is super low, needs to grab some heals. That's creating a little window for Valhalla to do a bit of jungling with that catch-up mechanic that they do have here. And the catch should be a kill on the slash. Surely he's dead to rights, you would think. Wraith, or rather Warden, just too scared. Knows that the threat of backup's too real.
Realizes that Abrams is within his zip code and wonders, do I live in this situation? But this is turning into a full-on fight. Valhalla committing here on the left-hand lane. Is this one going to be the one? Fishcake super low, no Death Slam. Potentially an opportunity. Telekinesis going to be dropped here. Not going to be hit by the counter spell. You got the League coming on in for left lane. Okay, that's an Abrams you don't want to see. You walk into the garage, you go, ooh, yeah, the Abrams just walked in. I'm going to walk out. Fishcake, 30 HP, down on the other side. Valhalla able to get at least one, but Hydration still wants a part of this fight here, Jake.
Yeah, they know. Oh, big punch here, pin into them all. Very low here for Wraith. Hydration on the chase, thinking about it, wants to go in, just gonna take this damage. Oh, parry though by flaws, just a little bit too far away on that ulti stun to get the reliable, guaranteed follow-up. 2-for-2 trade so far. Valhalla pretty happy with this. Last one, Hydration as well.
Everyone, dump all abilities into the Abrams. We got the team effort having to be used. The lasso, the final piece, and look, overall, gets the job done, helps Valhalla get a little bit more back into the game. Still a long way to go, but now contesting here towards the urn. Lefa able to take down Zerbzi. Lefa still very, very fed at this point, taking down 2 with the aid of Rokane, and they don't need hydration, as it turns out.
Oh, this is looking so scary for Valhalla. That was starting to look like maybe an overextension from Hydra Nation, but the fact that Vegas and Lefa are able to continue on into that fight despite a lot of their teammates being dead, just being confident that they have the HP advantage, they have the skills advantage to pressure that urn drop is massive for them. I think that, yeah, that really does restabilize the fight. And before that fight even really got underway, Rokane did grab the mid walker, so flex slots opening up here. One last walker now on the map for Valhalla. And you see Hydra Nation on this beautiful split across the map. Everybody just cleaning up a lot of jungle camps. I feel like there's going to be like one more big round of items, and that's healing tempo as well for Kelvin. Next team fight is going to be terrifying.
And we see the healing tempo online. Maybe a good chance here to get Jason's thoughts on what we've been seeing, both on items picked and just general for the match. Jason, what do you got for us?
I think we're seeing why Abrams is kind of being banned away in EU. Like hydration, a lot of the focus has been on him this game. I mean, he's barely leading souls when it comes to his team, but like the whole match is revolved around him and like where he wants to go and what pressure he wants to apply and how the team plays around it. I mean, you see anyone that goes into his space, goes into his sights to meet like, crap, I don't know if I can actually survive this fight. They need 2 players to take him down, and yet he has backup here with left, but I don't think they can even destroy hydration anymore at this point.
Wait though,
he's healing a lot,
different
actually.
idea here. Hydration, take a little bit of refuge here in the closet, gets the life strike off, stays alive! Oh man, Hydration even low, just breaks line of sight, uses it to land the melee, gets the heal off. Vegas comes on in for a little bit of extra healing, and the Abrams that was nearly dead, now very alive to land the double stun right on the back. Oh man, the era of Abrams may have arrived.
I mean, fighting in a room like this against the draft from Hydra Nation is just impossible, right? Like the healing, even if Hydration does go down there, I think that, you know, could have been super close. Like if he went down there, I wouldn't have been shocked. However, Valhalla, there's no hope for them to actually win that fight. Hydra Nation brought everyone. They slowed the game down enough. And I mean, I think that just goes to show the threat of this draft, right? The overwhelming frontline, healing tempo online, Poppers, Rocaine, Hydration, all having amazing games. I mean, this is just such a ridiculous power level. Valhalla just really can't get into these fights. Now there's like a 40k soul lead. This is devastating.
Also, still some old tech goes for securing it with the Abrams. Even with the Ivy trying to go in for the steal, it was not the greatest potential, but you're far enough behind here. It's just the Ivy. You might as well go for it.
You got to try. You really do need a like a rejuve steal type of a play to recover this game. And that Walker on the left lane is already low. Like this is everything set up here. You're grabbing the urn. I don't expect to see an urn attempt here from Hydra Nation, at least not. Maybe they'll fake it while they clear the Walker. Valhalla though has to really decide. I don't think you can even defend this Walker. I think you may just like, well, what can you do on the map? Like it was seriously, can you come out of your base right now with a 40k disadvantage and rejuve for Hydra Nation?
Well, Jake, it's difficult to come out of your base, but global chat is free, as Lord has found out. However, so is League. Hydration in on the left, able to start things off, gets a quick charge pick off, and looking for Poppers. They're able to get the Walker, and the rest of Valhalla right now forced for a bit of a quick retreat. They do get Poppers at the very least, but overall, you're pretty happy with that Hydration. The last Walker out of the fray.
Yeah, and that's a rejuve death. If you can turn this into some more kills, this could be a potential lead into that first phase patron. At least maybe clear out some of these base guardians. Get a little bit more progress on the map. Base guardians a little bit scarier to take now. You see this new map geometry, a little bit more favorable for defenders, a little bit more opportunity to counter initiate. But Abrams, I mean, he's happy to come in, test me, initiate on me. Let's see what happens.
Jake, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the community created lore, but you know, by all accounts, this isn't Blue Abrams that you're dealing with anymore. He's turned to green. Like his skin color is just flashing green. The true form of Abrams when he's truly powered up. Yeah.
Literally enraged Abrams with the heal tempo, the green on his feet too, the green kicks. He's just tanking the base guardians, no fear. He's building up his passive. This is value.
Fish cake goes a little bit deep,
but they're running urn at the same time. So like Hydra Nation, they're not committed to winning the fight in this base. They're not really committed to ending here. They're still getting a lot out of the map. But the fact that Kelvin's back with ulti, maybe now though they will try to just really make that push.
It's not quite as easy to push into the new base. New base has, you know, some defender specific terrain advancements, like having to go up more elevation. So, but on the other hand, you got a 50k lead.
7k. Let's see what Hydration buys.
It's gonna be what new item? Oh, he did it, Jake. Crushing fists.
That's scary.
This
item is disturbing, actually. When you're able to, I mean, have we seen it built yet?
I'm not sure if we did see it earlier in EU, but what I will say is that, you know, if someone goes for Buttle and, you know, he hits himself, so to speak, he's gonna like chunk himself for like 1500 HP.
I mean, if he melees people enough time to get stunned, I want to see if Hydration can actually get the melee. That feels crazy to me. I feel like with the risk of parry in the late game is actually still so high, but this is just stat checking. Hydra Nation, they have run away with this game. Siphon Life as well. Yamato ulti, not enough to protect you. And they've got to drop patrons still, but I mean, Valhalla is being spawn camped. They can't even leave their own veils at this point.
They're in a rough spot, and that is putting it mildly. The shrines are going to go down, and now on to the patron. Hydra Nation goes, looking to solidify their advantage. Still up a good 50k. Patron gonna go down. The throne getting remodeled. It's no longer a throne. It's just a place for the patron to become ahead and feel a little bit sad, Jake, nowadays.
Could be a little bit risky to fight here, but they're basically diving the spawn here. Vegas domes Zerbzy in there, and they're able to kill them just inside the spawn door. Hydration is definitively inside the spawn. Poppers goes down, though. It's a 5-on-5. It's a decent start for Valhalla. This is the moment. You've got to win this fight. You've got to make it pretty decisive. Patron is low. Some players focusing it, but that split focus could be the opportunity for Valhalla. That being said, they're down 3. The game is just too out of control at this point. They could just turn to the Patron and finish it anytime they like. It'll be Hydra Nation going to that money match.
Hydra Nation. Is this the week that they reclaim the throne off a new patch? And if they, what is Jake, what a turnabout it would be given the fact that Hydra Nation, historically, you think back to the last major change the game had, the 4-lane to 3-lane patch, Hydra Nation looked awful for weeks while they were getting used to it. But this time around, feels like they got the secret sauce going for them this time.
Yeah, they looked really sick this game. I mean, it started from the early laning phase. Just at no point did they lose control of this game. They lost one or two Guardians. I mean, did they have one of their Guardians up at the end of the game? It really felt like that. It's just a out of control dominance across the board. All 3 lanes winning. This is classic Hydra Nation domination when they're just like out mechanicking their opponents. And then also crucially, the thing that has been more in question for them historically from time to time has been, do they have the cleanliness, the focus to actually convert those early advantages into decisive mid-game leads, into big moments of taking objectives and capturing rejuves. And this game they absolutely did. I think there was a number of moments where they could have easily overextended. It would have been even understandable maybe to be a little bit greedy. And they were, taking the safer routes, backing off, resetting, and continuing to expand that lead until it is truly insurmountable.
We're gonna bring back in Jason, and Jason, we weren't quite sure what to expect here, but I think you said it on the nose in a way of, I guess we see why EU is banning Abrams, because whether it be the player or the hero, in this case, I think it was a bit of both, because Hydration looked better than we've seen him in quite a while. A big upgrade over the Mo play, and his Mo was good, just for the record.
Man, I'm a little bit scared for any team fighting Hydra Nation once Hydration's allowed to play heroes that can have even more impact and more single-handedly carry potential. Like you saw him in mid lane, Lord and M didn't get ultimate online until it felt like 10 minutes into the game, constantly pressuring him, able to dive him, take away boxes, have this like global impact and this like global sensor like beeping for everyone like, hey, pay attention to me. If I'm in your area of the map, you cannot ignore me, as League found out, unfortunately, too many times. Like that is a very scary thing. And I even asked Listic, like, when are we going to see your Abrams? As he's over in chat, he said, whenever the people stop banning EU, and maybe Listic needs to go to NA to get some Abrams play, because that was disgusting. What do you even ban away from? We talked about Hydra Nation, like they have deep hero pools. They have so many different big threats on the team. You can't outban them. You can't outpick them. With the addition of like all these changes now, with another hero added to their pool that can, obviously with Flick in the past, but you didn't see him play it too much lately. This just makes him even scarier.
Well, this does also bring us to the player of the match presented by Intel. There's but one choice we can put up here, really, and that, of course, is Hydration. And, Jake, Jason was just talking about it. What more can you say here? Abrams got a new portrait and got a new lease on life here on the new patch. Looking better than ever. New melee items, new build that he could focus on, and the early life strike build off a good lane seemed to work wonders here for Hydration.
Yeah, great game from Hydration across the board. Really, you can't complain about any of this stuff. I am curious though if people will even play, if people will actually be building the whatever it's called, the 6K fist item. I'm like suspicious about whether that's actually good. But in this game, like YOLO, why not? You're just actually out of control. And Hydration way too far ahead in this game to make any kind of comeback possible. And also great macro moves, like not just winning the lane, but then having some nice rotations, showing up to both side lanes at different moments, and being a key part of decisive fights there. The team as well, like really following up on his plays, that like the fact that he goes in, full commits here, and like the whole team collapses in the position, stabilizes it for him is really well done.
What's so funny about this match is like there was 5 other players on his team. but I feel like we didn't really talk about them too much because it was just all about seeing Hydration just be so impactful. I mean, Leffa was still there, and Leffa, I mean, he still actually had the most player damage on the team, but it was so shadowed by the fact that Hydration was able to be in their face, escape multiple times in situations where it looked like he was most likely going to die here. Then he comes out with the 12 kills.
I think that's a good mention though as well, Jason, that like Leffa also had a fantastic game, like with this incredible front line. I mean, I think that's what we're focused on because so often we weren't even getting to the point where Leffa was in question or being fought. But while you have, you know, the Shiv, Calvin, and Abrams holding the front line, Leffa is just pumping damage, really stable, 1 death, great farm. I mean, I'm kind of wondering, like, is Mirage really that bad that he went unpicked? That global teleport had a couple big impact moments in that game, stabilizing fights that, you know, could have been opportunities for Valhalla to recover.
I think Mirage is one of those heroes where Mirage has never been bad in Deadlock and usually just ends up being in the top pick ban regardless. Every now and then you get these just weird weeks where people undervalue Mirage, and then it always snaps back into place at some point where people realize, wait. Global teleport is really strong. Also, Mirage is really good in lane. I think the one thing that's maybe hidden Mirage a little bit more right now is the fact that Wraith is back in town and the Queen is clearly on top of the heap for the most part. When you've looked at her performance overall and, you know, what she's done over the course of the day. So, you know, that's put Mirage maybe a little bit further down in pick priority, even if Wraith herself didn't look as amazing in this particular game.
But I think we kind of expected this game to go one way, like we had in our EU Challenger match as well. I think the real test is obviously going to be up against melee creeps, but even if they beat melee creeps, I'm kind of like still unsure of how I feel about how that victory will actually play out, because AVG is not playing within melee creeps this week. It's going to be Ido coming in. Now, Ido obviously a very strong player, but AVG, like if you think back to last week, he was just snowballing games by himself when it came to his Shiv. So it's a very tough match, but I think it's actually be a very close match between these two teams.
I expect to see, I think, some of those key picks being contested as well in the draft, like the Calvin, the Shiv. Wraith looks good, but I think maybe going Wraith first gives up too many potent mid-game combos where ultimately on Wraith, you do need to get a little bit deeper into the late game, but, you know, maybe with a different first ban that could really change people's approach. Taking something like Calvin out of the pool would potentially neuter some of the style that Hydra Nation was going for in that first game.
All right, well, this is Deadlock Fight Night number 25. Hydra Nation looking to become the kings of NA once more, but they got to get through the reigning champions melee creeps first. That matchup coming at you right after this break.